Hey, I'm back. Welcome back to another episode of this MuddaCluckin podcast. I'm your host, D to the E, the A to the N, Dean Austin. I am ready to give you another hot episode. This episode, I don't know what to say. This is really a brother to me. We go way back. We go way back because we're in the same fraternity. But not only that, he's been a mentor. He's been an inspiration. And I want you to know about this, brother. Look, if you have any questions about school, college, education, motivation, without any hesitation, let's just do that rhyme in there. I just threw that in there. I don't know what that. Gerald Weatherspoon is in the house. I'm gonna bring him out in a hot second so you can see Brother Weatherspoon. Brother Weatherspoon is here. He's here. Let me tell you, he's here. He's here. My man, Brother G. That's what I call you. I don't call you nothing else, Brother G. You my big brother. You my big brother, man. You look. I look older than you. I'm about 106. You about 82.
82.
Yeah. So younger than you, 82.
Okay. All right. Yes, a very young 82. Thank you very much.
Man, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you. This podcast is all things comedy, all things life. That's what it is. And I'm happy to have Dr. Gerald Weatherspoon, my man here. I want to tell you right now, he's on the East Coast, so he did this as a favor to me because it's later there than it is here. Right now, it's about 2, 3, 4, 2. He over there it's about midnight over there. I think was it 11?
It's only 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming. Now, I want to ask you a question since you are a scholar, since you are a legend in the academic world. I'm going to ask you some questions because you are the man. You are the man. Okay. Now, the first question I have to ask you is, when did you become head of the chemistry and biochemistry department at George Mason University? When did that happen?
Very good question. So I became chair of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at George Mason University in 2016. And when I became chair, I became the first African American to serve as chair of a science department in the College of Science at George Mason. When I served as associate chair prior to that. I think I served 7 years as an associate chair. So even when I was elevated and became associate chair, I didn't realize at the time the impact that it was having. It was a friend of mine, Melissa Hayes, that actually pointed this out to me. She's like, you're making history, right? And I was like, no, I just do what I do. So bless her heart, she pointed that out to me after everything actually was announced, so I didn't have the pressure on my shoulders. And even as I was getting ready to become chair of the department, I also did have the pressure because it wasn't something I was thinking about. So I will say on the front end to anyone listening, anyone watching this particular podcast, and thanks, Dean, for inviting me to participate.
Oh, you're welcome.
You have to be ready to move in certain directions because we don't even know what all is in store for us. So we have to allow ourselves to be flexible enough to make adjustments. If anyone had asked me many years ago, do you see yourself as being a chemistry professor? My answer would have been no. Do you see yourself being in a leading position at PWI, a predominantly white institution? My answer would have been no. So people see things in us that we don't see in ourselves, and we just have to make ourselves available and be prepared to move in certain directions. So it's been an interesting ride as chair so far, and I'm sure Dean has a lot of other questions that will keep me on track here and throw me off.
Right. Well, I tell you right now, the only chair I bought was over in IKEA.
I was about to say,
and that chair lasted me for about 2 days because I put the screws and bolts in wrong. But hey, that's my chair, and you do have to be flexible. You have to bounce back. I don't do comedy anymore. I'm a stripper. I strip on the side. I'm stripping at Walmart, aisle 17. Don't tell nobody.
Whew.
So I'm trying to get it right, brother. I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to be on your level and get it right. But how's everything?
I was about to grab my bottle
Look,
of water. I was
if you
like, I
want some
need a
frozen
drink.
peas, come on down. If you want some frozen peas, come on down. So I was talking to you the other day, and we've known each other for so long because you are a brother to me, a mentor, and inspiration in many ways. You've been in my life for a long time, so I really appreciate you having you here. I would always say, we were talking about education in school. So pre George Mason,
Mhm.
you graduated. I was gonna say Mississippi, and then you're like Jackson State Tigers.
Thank you. Got
Wavy
it right. Got
Davy.
it right.
Wavy Davy. Look, I do my homework.
Jackson
Wavy.
State
I'm supposed to know this anyway.
University in Mississippi, in Jackson,
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Thank you
In
very
Jackson,
much.
Jackson State. And the
Yes.
Tigers. Now, I don't know what a Wavy Davy is, but it's all right. I mean, I know he's a dude, the mascot, but he's a Tiger. He's like Tony the Tiger of Jackson State.
But our mascot is a real tiger.
It was a real tiger.
Tony is fake. I'm sorry.
Fake tiger.
Tony, you do like this. And then you blow Tony up, you pop Tony, Tony goes away. But our tiger has been there for decades.
That is hilarious. That's so cool, man. Now, one of your awards is the Presidential Medal of Faculty Excellence in Diversity.
Mhm.
That to say that 6 times is hard.
Yes.
I had to keep trying to repeat it so I
And
can
you're
say it
still
properly.
working on it, huh?
But that's what happened when you flunk in the 6th grade and just walk away from school. No, I didn't do that. I
Well,
went
at
to
least
school.
you made it
I
to
met
the
you in
six.
college, so of course I
Yes,
went
yes,
further
that's
than
true.
6th
That
grade.
is true. So props to
But
you.
yes,
It was Cal State Hayward at the time,
Cal State Hayward, now
right?
Cal State East Bay.
Yes, yes. So old school Cal State
Old
Hayward.
school, old
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
Now that title in itself alone is powerful, brother. It's
Mm.
no one, I've never heard of it. I'm sure there's a lot of people, not just black folks, white, everybody. We know that it's a title that you should be proud of. I when you say that, when you told me that, I was like, wow. I'm like, what do you do since you're so excellent
I don't consider myself
and diverse?
excellent. Right.
He's
Well,
excellent, diverse, and he of the faculty.
well, I mean, one of the things about it. So I was not expecting to get the award, to be honest. So I received this award in 2021. Our current and new president of George Mason University, who is Gregory Washington, African American, our
Nice,
first African
nice.
American serve as president of George Mason University. So the presidents bestow awards for uh, excellence in several areas, and mine happened to have been in the area of faculty, working in the areas of diversity at the same time. And one of the things that has been, I would say, a catalyst that has gotten me to this particular point and wound up getting this particular award, having been a trailblazer all of these years at George Mason in chemistry and in the sciences, and once you become very seasoned in what you're doing, and as you're also approaching retirement, you become the voice of the voice of the voices. You're like, you know what? I'm about to retire in a couple of years. I'm just going to say what's on my mind. That's what I grew up doing. So I will continue to do it and
Right.
say those things and be the voice for those that are afraid to speak out. Because I started doing that actually many years ago when I was living in the Bay Area working at Lawrence Livermore Lab. We had the Association of Black Lab Employees. I was one of the founding members of that organization. So it's only natural, I guess, for me to then continue this type of work at George Mason. So we have the anti-racism, anti-racism and inclusive excellence task force, and
Wow.
I'm a member of that. So I have been putting in my time with that task force as well. It got the attention of persons in the College of Science and at the university. And when we look at what I've been doing over the past, this is my 26th year at George Mason. So
Wow.
yes, almost as long as
26.
you've been crawling.
Right.
Running,
I'm
crawling.
100. So you've been doing it for a minute.
Right. So, so when they looked at what I'd been doing, and I hadn't even really paid attention to it over the 26-year period, well, it was 25 at the time, people said, you know what? We need to recognize you for what you've been doing to help keep African American students here to recruit and help retain faculty, to serve as a mentor to student organizations, and keep going out into the community and having a smile on your face when
Right.
Dean, you know how this goes. Sometimes, how did Maya Angelou say it? So we mask it, right? We
Right.
mask it to cover up all the other stuff
Right.
because we have to be ready for that curtain call at all times. So people don't know. We don't. We don't look like the fires we've been through. We don't have that
Mhm.
char on us. Neither
Right.
do we smell like the smoke that was around us when we were in the furnace and we were in that crucible. So we just keep
Right.
plugging and we keep chugging. And they're like, "Well, how do you laugh and how do you keep doing this?" It's like, you know what? I'm looking at the end. I'm not looking at where I am now. I'm looking further down the road. And
Right.
that's what I did with you when I met you
Yeah,
many
that's
years
true. That's
ago.
true. That's
Because
true.
I looked at what I was going through with you and I was like, Dean is
Now
calling me,
we gonna talk about
harassing
that.
me.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Okay, well, I will
now
wait. So
now
let me
now
just
I,
put a little note here.
yeah,
Dean,
put that note
many
down.
years
Put that
ago.
note down. Now, the reason now that we're talking about education
Yes,
and the
sir.
char and the barbecue and the
Hmm.
smokiness, and
Uh-huh.
there is, and we've actually spoke about this, and there was an article that you actually told me about that the chemistry profession is racially segregated big time in the UK.
Hmm.
Out of
Yes, yes,
575 professors, only one black. That's like having 375 ninjas and only one Japanese.
yes, yes.
It's ridiculous. That
It
doesn't make sense.
it is shocking in this day and age, especially when you think about how people are from underrepresented groups. I don't like to use the term minority because when we cling too tightly to that term minority, then
Right.
we are embellishing something that we have been programmed to refer to ourselves as.
Correct.
And I'm going to say it, and whatever flashback comes, it comes, right?
No, you
So
speak the truth,
when
brother.
we
That's what.
look at people of higher melanin content, not just in the Americas, but throughout the global community. People of higher
Right.
melanin content actually make up the majority. So this Eurocentrism is something that actually came with this term that we grab onto. It's like, I'm a minority, I'm a minority. You
Right.
are a minority with respect to maybe where you work, but in
Right.
the grand scheme of things, you aren't. So if we now look at what's happening in the UK with that one black professor out of all of those professors of chemistry in the
Hmm.
United Kingdom, for those
Right.
that were
Right.
wondering what is UK, we're not talking about the University of Kansas or the
No.
University of Kentucky.
Right.
Just want to put it out there.
Right. Right. Right.
And that's a travesty that this one black professor has had to go through all of these things by himself, because in order to get ahead, in order to survive in STEM,
Right.
in any arena, you need a mentor. You need to feel like there's some support system in place. And this young man, and I call him young, this young man has survived in spite of it all. And
Right.
he
Right.
is actually a mirror image of so many of us. And it's
Right.
not just in STEM. So keeping it real, you as a comedian and all comedians of the diaspora that are here in the United States and other places trying to carve out your niche, trying to make it, you're
Right.
going up against the same type of challenges that we are.
Correct.
But people don't talk about it as often because they
Right.
see you on TV, they see you in
Right.
venues more so. But when it
Exactly.
comes to the scientists, you are looking at one speck here, one speck there. And at PWIs,
Hmm.
you're lucky to see that speck. So he has dealt with that racism and all of those injustices all these years. And we need to see something different. And
Right. We do.
hopefully someone watching this will actually feel challenged and feel motivated to pursue STEM, get a degree in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and relocate and help that brother out over there in the
Right.
UK. Because, if we want to see change, we have to be that change. We can't
Right.
just sit around and BMC. And I know
It's true.
I can't say certain things, and moan and complain.
Yes. 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 I agree. And we know what moan and complain mean. It
Yes,
means
yes,
moan and complain.
right.
We both know that.
Our relatives, our friends.
And for all the young folks out there that are watching, remember that it is possible. because of the fact that out of 575, one brother made it. That one brother put in work and put in time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and he was told no so many times. He was
And
told he
it's still being
cannot
told
so
no.
many times, and he was shown the other door. But you know what? He kept coming back. He kept coming back. He
And
kept
that's what
coming
it
back,
takes.
and that's what it takes. You have to be persistent, and you have to be passionate, and you have to love what you're doing and continue. And you do that, everything else will fall right in place. But you have to be focused as well. And he was very focused, or he is very focused, I should say.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing. Now, I have something called RQT time during the podcast.
Say what?
RQT.
Yeah,
Not RQT, RQT.
I will say I like this because it's very organic.
It's
I have
random.
no idea what types of
Hey, I
questions
told you I was going
he
to
might
get
ask me, so he gets to see my real-time reaction to things.
Yes. Real time reaction. So real question time, or I should say random question time.
Random question time. Okay.
Time. Okay. This is a simple question.
Uh-huh.
All right. Sharks or polar bears, and why?
Polar bears.
Why?
Polar bears, just like sharks, can survive on their own because they have a sense of self. However, the polar bear has the flexibility of operating on land as well as in water. Diversity.
There
Bam.
you go. I knew you was gonna bring it full
Bam.
Bam.
The shark can only
Ladies and
live
gentlemen,
in
you see
water.
that?
The
You
shark
see that?
eats in water. The polar bear can spend hours at a time in water, travel long distances, and eat while in water, climb up on some ice
Right.
and say, hey, y'all, check this out. I just
Right.
grabbed this seal.
Right.
A
Right.
shark can only look at the polar bear and say, man, I wish I could get up on land because I'm not finding enough out here. If I could just get up on land and grab those seals, I could eat for a longer period of time.
Brother.
You asked.
You are deeper than the clown's shoes. You deeper than the clown's shoes, brother. Because I thought most people, well, not most people, if you ask that question, it's pretty superficial. Some people might say, "Oh, I like it because of the fur. He has nice white fur, and it's sweet and it's beautiful." And polar bears are cuddly, which a polar bear will knock your face off.
Polar bears will cuddle. If it's the mother will cuddle her
Right.
babies.
Right. He
Other
won't
than
cuddle
that,
with you.
everything they cuddle, they eat.
Right. That's pretty sad though. Everything you cuddle, you eat.
Yes.
That's like you cuddle a sandwich.
I love you. Love you to death. Okay.
That's a good one. All right. All right. I'm gonna give you another question.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Gumballs.
Gumballs.
You're staring off into space.
No. Gumballs or keychains, and why?
Keychains.
Okay.
The gumball will only last for so long. The keychain has an opportunity for me to anchor more things to it for a longer haul so that I don't lose things. It will last longer and will help me later open doors that could have been closed. If I have the gumball, I chew the gumball, it
And
loses
spit
its
it out.
sweetness, it loses its flavor, and it's just like some of these fly-by-night friends we have, right?
Right. And
Fly-by,
and I will add on to that. The fact that with the gumball, like you said, you toss it out. But with a keychain, is just like anything else. You say it opens doors, but it lasts for a long time, and you put in the work to make sure you get to these doors. It's the same thing as it's like fast money and working towards something. It's just like your education. And the young man in the UK, he had the keychain. He didn't have the gumball.
Right.
That keychain, he see where he is because he got the keychain. The gumball, he would never have made it. There would have been 575 and no black professors.
True.
So that's you always say. I knew you was gonna bring the heat. I knew you was gonna bring the heat. I said, Brother G gonna mess me up. Got me thinking. I'm a comedian. I tell jokes, and I love to think. And that's why
but check it out. You have to think. in order to execute properly when you tell that joke.
That's
Otherwise, you're
true.
nothing but a flop.
That's true. That's true.
Where's
That's
my
true.
microphone? Poof,
It-
dropped.
and as a comedian, I tend to forget that, but you're 100% right, because you always, throughout my life, you always reassured me and let me know that that's what it was about. That it was deeper, you know. And with comedy, tend to forget because we just do it so effortlessly, and we do it because we have a passion for it, and we just think sometimes they're just jokes, but jokes aren't just jokes. Jokes are deeper than just a joke. Just like your analogy with the keychain and the gumball, people is deeper than what I just said. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
the shark and the polar bear is deeper, because you could have just left, hey man, I like fur coats, I like white fur coats, I like polar bears, you know, but you took me there. I appreciate it. I like that.
Glad I could help. I
Anytime.
wrote a little song about it. You want to hear it? Here it goes.
Right. The
All right,
hat
let me
is
stop.
going
Let me
out.
stop.
Put the money in the hat. Put the money in the hat. I need gas money.
Oh god. All right, I have to conduct myself a certain way because it's saying head of a chemistry department underneath.
Yes.
All right.
But you're doing
Press
well.
the hat.
But they're gonna see you
Professional
and they're
hat.
gonna be like, I can't. Dr. Witherspoon is funny. He
I do
always
this in
slaps us
class.
around.
I do it in class. I laugh at myself. I've gotten down on one knee laughing at myself. Something funny popped, or a student answered a question a certain way, and then we realize, like, wait, what did you say? And then I will have said something. It's like, oh, wait a minute, did I say that out loud? And I just go down on one knee laughing, and they laugh with me. Just like, this guy is something else.
That is hilarious. That's funny. Now, 5BE. We're gonna talk about 5B. Actually, myself and brother Witherspoon, Dr. Witherspoon, my brother, we're both in Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And I met Brother G actually when I was pledging. And he would tell you the times that I've called him in the middle of the night for advice, for information, for guidance, for food, for something. I needed something. I had to get through. Look, I was struggling, but I learned that you have brothers that come into your life for a reason, and you don't even know that they're there, or you're gonna run across them, but they pop up like an angel. So he's like an angel. He just popped up out of nowhere, and I was like, man, I clung to him because I'm not a fool. I know a good person when I meet a good person. I know somebody who's good for you or good for me,
Ain't that
and you should have somebody like that. Everyone should have somebody like that that's good for them, whether it be a friend, relationship, whatever. So in Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, I was pledging, and I remember calling you, Brother G, at about 12:30, waking you up in the middle
I
of the
was
night.
younger then, and I would accept phone calls. Now, now, like, oh, it's getting dark outside. It's time to go to sleep.
My line brothers, they didn't know why. They were like, "Why you always calling Brother G in the middle of the night?" I said, "Y'all. There's no solutions here. I need some help." But they were young like me. They were going through it like me, and I was just, I'm so honored and thankful that you've come into my life, brother. You're definitely one in a million.
Well,
Definitely one
I'm
in a
glad I
million.
could be there. You're the type that people have a unique opportunity to meet, and sometimes we don't realize why people are being brought into our lives. Though, I remember a lot of those late night phone calls, and they were very long phone calls.
Right.
People that know you, once Dean starts talking, you might as well get comfortable. So I learned a lot about Dean, and that's why I said Dean. Back in the day, we called it pledging. We have membership intake now. So
Right.
when Dean was online, as it was called back then, I felt like I was actually online because I'd get up the next day to go to work, and I was just all worn out. And people were like, "What's going on with you?" It's like, man, these guys at Cal State Hayward, there's one of them, he'll call me and he has a lot of questions and he talks about stuff, and I have to get him off the phone because I'm looking at the clock. It's like, it's almost 2 a.m. I have to get up in a few hours to go to work. But I truly do believe, and I do appreciate our brotherhood. You're like a family member.
Definitely.
You're a brother to me, and it has been a very wonderful ride over the last years knowing
Years,
you.
many
Right,
years,
right. Many, many years. Because that was
many
back in
years.
the 1980s, right? I
As a
just
matter
put
of
it out
fact,
there back in the 1980s.
we've had that conversation that we would talk and we wouldn't talk for a while, and we pick up exactly where we left off the last time we spoke, which is rare, to have
Yeah.
conversations like that and have that kind of person in your life. So I
Mhm.
appreciate it. I appreciate it much. I I know
Thank
one
you.
thing. I know one thing we've we shared a lot. We shared a lot about not just racism and our careers, but family
Mhm,
and about the black community and about what is so good about us being black men doing what we love to do.
mhm,
You know, so for all of the people that are listening, especially the young people that are listening, you have to first of all find someone or something that you love to do. Now, so I should say something you love to do and someone you love to be around and have in your life that can motivate you. That won't be a hindrance and that will be a spark.
preach, preach.
And the bottom line is, brother G, as long as I've known you, whether you know it or not, you've been a spark to me because you've pushed me, you've made me think, you've made me grow as a man. And
Mhm,
some people don't have that. But when you do find it, please, whatever you don't ruin it, don't mess it up, hang on to it, cherish it, and
mhm,
always say you love that person and show love to that person
mhm,
all the time. And for a long time, brother G, and you've known this about me, as men, especially back in the day, your father didn't want you to say, if he loved you, he won't say it.
right.
He'll give you some kind of look or a nod or something,
Mhm.
and be like, okay, I guess he loves me, right?
Give you a backhand. Poof! I
Right.
love you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Get out there and put it on.
But we have to get past that. And I have always been that type of person that it never fazed me. It doesn't mean something wrong with you if a man
Right,
tells you he
right,
loves you.
right.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I've
Mhm,
always felt that way. Even
mhm,
with my father, even though my father was the old school, I, I I mean, he says it a lot now because he's older. When you get older, you start saying it,
right.
because you have grandkids, you start changing, you start
Mm,
getting soft, pretty much, or whatever you
mhm.
want to call it. But back in the day, no, it was not
No,
like
you
that. But
just start getting real.
yeah,
I think that's
exactly,
what it is.
it is.
You
It is. You get real,
we live in this whole catch phrase of virtual reality. I think we lived in our own forms of virtual reality, and they lived in theirs decades
right,
ago. Right? They adopted something. So um, young people, look up the difference between accommodation and assimilation,
right,
because we
right.
as a people have operated right there on the fence, and sometimes we accommodate, sometimes we assimilate, and we forget how to get back to the basics and to our roots and get anchored. So
That's
I
true.
think a lot of our fathers and our grandfathers,
Hmm.
they had assimilated far too long, and it was a struggle for them to come back around and could reconnect then with their upbringing and what their grandfathers had experienced, the ones that came through the Caribbean islands and
Right.
over from Africa. So
Hmm.
they had forgotten how to hold that hand and to encourage that young man.
Hmm.
So they just knew how to be hard to help us, help them prepare for what's out there in the world. But
That's
back to
true.
what Dean was saying, when you find someone that is there for you for the right reason,
Right.
definitely hold on to that person, because I do firmly believe people enter your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And too often we make the mistake of trying to make the temporary people permanent.
Right.
So you have
Right.
to look for those right qualities. Yeah, yeah, and that's in all relationships. Oh man, this is my best friend. This is my ride or die. Blah blah blah. And you're
Right.
like,
Right.
mm-mm. You let somebody else ride by in something, and they'll show you
Right.
what they really are,
That's
right?
true.
And then
That's true.
back to just thinking about where you want to go, what you want to do with your life. And I used to tell kids this when I would visit the schools. In I used to live in the Bay Area for a while, and I'd go to the elementary and middle schools. There were fraternity brothers, there were principals and teachers there, and they would invite me to come and do chemistry demos with the kids. And I would tell even the teenagers, find something that you enjoy doing so much, that you are so passionate about, that it doesn't even seem like work. You just
Right.
get lost in it. You don't
Right.
even know how
Right.
much time has passed. So you're not doing this looking at the clock. Oh man, I can't wait till 5. You just get lost in what you're doing. And the next thing you know, several years have passed. And rather than you just doing this, just heading down, you just keep going higher and higher because you're
Right.
doing what you're walking into your gift because you redefine that
Right.
gift and you enjoy it so much you don't even know how much time has passed. I'm looking at Dean on the screen. It's hard for me to imagine that I've known him 75 years because
Right. Right. And I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Right.
Still.
It is hard to imagine, and to imagine that when I met you, I was so young. So you were young,
Yes, I
I didn't think
was.
about that. You were
I was young.
you still my big brother
Mhm.
back then.
I
So
was
it's
young.
it's so that's amazing. That's amazing to have that kind of connection. I the other thing I want to tap in
Mhm.
on is that if there's any young boys and girls in general that want to get into the profession that you're in,
Mhm.
chemistry, should they be afraid? Should
No.
they push forward? Because
Yes.
when you hear chemistry, you think hard. Most people think hard, or it's the struggle, or it's too complex,
Mm.
or I'm a fail. Should they continue if they have the slight bit of passion to do it? Should they just go forward, or should they just
I would advise them to go forward full steam ahead. Step one, something that we need to do in our community. Let me clear my throat. Dun,
yes,
dun,
yes, break
dun,
it down,
dun,
brother,
dun,
break it
dun, dun,
down.
dun, One thing that we need to stop doing in our community is allowing family and friends that came through school systems that had poorly prepared teachers that provided them with negative experiences. We need to stop passing that on to the next generation because when you tell them how afraid of math and science you are, then you're passing your fears
Right,
onto them. So what you're doing is eliminating their potential passionate jobs that they could be involved in for long-term careers.
that's true. That's true.
Two, it also signals to the world that you have caved in and have not latched on to the fact that science and engineering and medicine started where? On the continent of Africa,
Us,
right? So we are genetically predisposed to be successful in these particular areas. So
correct.
we cannot cave in to the brainwashing that has been going on for generations where people believe, oh, I can't do it because this is a European thing. Right.
Right,
So if we
right.
look at how things actually took place, so that means we have to turn off Netflix for a moment.
Hmm.
We have to put the I this and the I that down, and we have to do some real reading and learn how information and technology moved and well, how it was stolen and then moved into Europe, right? So they went
Right,
into Africa, they
right.
burned the libraries, but they took information across the borders and then repackaged it and then led us as a people, right, to believe that this is something that they were experts at, that they found it, that we could not excel in. So
Correct,
once you
correct.
understand whose you are and who
Hmm.
you are, then whatever they say doesn't matter anymore because you know you're genetically predisposed to be successful in it.
Right, right. That's so true. Very true. And that's what I wanted you to express, because there's a lot of young black boys and girls that need to not be afraid and jump out there and, like you say, take that leap.
But Dean, check this out, because I've talked to people about this, and I say this when I teach freshman chemistry, Gen Chem 2, second semester Gen Chem. In the introductory part of the course, to get students away from their fears, because like, ooh, Dr. Weatherspoon, I know he flunks a lot of people. No, I don't flunk people, people or fail people. People fail themselves.
Right.
I asked them, how many of you know chemists? How many of you do chemistry on a regular basis? And they sit there like crickets, right? But then once you start peeling back the layers, so you think about chemistry and life like an onion, many, many layers, right? Once you start peeling back those layers and helping young people understand chemistry is not something that you should be afraid of. Science is not something you should be
Right,
afraid of. But
right,
let's look
right.
at the chemistry side of it. We are organic molecules bonded together, and we have some inorganic properties in us as well because our bones are very dense. Now, when you help young people understand, all right, here's a bottle of water right here, right? If I drink this water, that's H2O. When the water goes into my body, it's doing things to change up some dynamics. And then you can start talking about osmotic pressure in the cell, right? So
Mhm.
then you tell, well, did you brush your teeth today? You use chemicals. So you remove some plaque. So there were chemical reactions taking place because now your teeth are clean and they're not yellow anymore. So you were doing chemistry and you weren't even thinking about it. Did you eat? Did your mother cook? Or did you use soap? Did you use cologne? Did you do these things? It's like, oh, listen, oh, young ladies, young men, you go get your hair done or you do it yourself, right? So that's chemistry. You're doing chemistry all the time. So you shouldn't be afraid of it. We're just looking at the theory.
Right,
We're just
right,
discussing things and telling you and helping you understand how to do the calculations so that you can go to the next level.
right, right. Man, that was so good. I might go ahead and make me something when I leave. When we
Well,
get
no,
off
what
this,
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna make
make is
something.
called dinner.
I'm not gonna make no food. Chemistry.
But that's
Like, look,
biochemistry,
it's
right?
making a bomb chemistry. I'm not making a bomb, but people make bombs all the time. But I
That's
want to
but
make
no,
something
no,
that,
we're gonna keep it on the good side. That's
on the good side.
biochemistry,
But there you go. There
right?
you
So
go. You know,
there's
when the kids,
cosmetic chemistry, food chemistry, color
right,
chemistry.
right, right.
So there are
When
so
the
many
kids make those little
materials chemistry.
volcanoes, that's amazing. When they make those volcanoes, they love
You're
that.
right.
That's chemistry.
So, in what area of chemistry are you really looking at at that particular point? Well, I have something that causes this reaction. Heat is evolved. That let me know there's a chemical reaction that's taking place, or I get smoke, I get
Right,
fire. So
right,
those are indicators. I get a color change. So I'm looking at thermodynamics and I'm looking at kinetics because I'm looking at how fast things change as a function of time. And that's how we define kinetics, the change of concentration, change of color, change of something with respect to
right,
time. People that work, people that work with fireworks, they study kinetics.
right.
The people that work at the fire department, nurses, doctors, engineers, everybody,
Where is my
dentists.
Pepto Bismol and my Alka Seltzer?
Right. How fast can I get rid of my antacid here because this is driving me crazy, right? So even when you're like, well, acid reflux is killing me. What can I pop in my mouth to change up the
Yes,
concentration because we have buffers in our body. So the Hasselbalch equation comes into play. How many millimoles of this do I need to add in order to neutralize the other part? And people are like, oh man, I didn't sign on. I didn't join this podcast today to hear this guy talk about
right.
Henderson
He
Hasselbalch
got too
and
deep. No.
buffers and pH and pKa.
No, but we
That's
make it fun. That's why I said all things funny, all things life. It's all about having fun and educating and letting people know that you can achieve, you can be what you want to be. Don't be afraid. Step out there and just do it. And
Mhm.
like you said, you can take baby steps, but don't be afraid. And
Right.
as a black man, a black woman, you have to know who you are, like you said, and know your worth, and know what kind of human being you are, and that you could do anything you want. That one brother out of the 575, that's
Mhm.
powerful. That's powerful. Just that one brother out of 575 says a lot.
Mhm.
Think about it. It says an awful lot if it's one brother out of 575. That means you can't keep us down. You can't stop us. We're going to
Mm.
keep going forward. And we have to remember that. And we have to focus on that.
How does that phrase go out of that poem? Like dust I rise.
Exactly.
Bam!
Exactly. Don't nothing crazy like Cheetos I eat. You nothing like
Mm.
that.
Yeah, for real. That
You
that
know.
stuff is gone. That's just orange powder. Pow, 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 pow.
Orange,
Powder
right.
gone.
That's
You know?
chemistry. No.
Well, it is a
You get it
different
on your
kind of.
fingers. No.
That's color chemistry.
Right, right.
Oh, look at my hands. They're all orange.
Now I have okay.
No, people, I am not a comedian. This is just me and
No,
Dean.
he's
Okay.
fun. Look, I'm telling you, brother G, whenever I go to the East Coast, we talk all night laughing and we don't stop laughing until I
Oh,
leave. And it goes by so fast because we're having a good time. We're laughing. And that's amazing. Like I said, that's amazing because you don't find that. Look, brother G, I know you can get on stage if you wanted to, but I'm gonna bring you. I've been telling him to bring you on stage one day, but I'll bring you up one
no,
day.
but Dean, I have my own stage. It's the
You
lecture.
do.
It's the classroom.
That's a good stage. That's a
Everybody
great
has
stage.
right.
You have
My
built-in
stage.
audience.
Thank you. I have a
Look,
captive audience, and they have paid tuition.
look, Brother G, they'll laugh at your jokes just so they can pass.
Well,
He's hilarious.
I tell them, look, I do not pass you based upon whether or not you laugh at something corny. I say that I laugh at. Okay, so
Right.
I need to see in the spreadsheet that you have amassed enough points. So look. Do you see a column on Blackboard that says I laughed at his corny jokes anywhere? No. All right.
Exactly.
The rubber
Exactly.
hits the road,
Right.
and
Now,
that's how we do it.
I know you all have been experiencing some snow and rain and cold
Love
out
it,
there.
love it, love it.
I know you love it because you're from the South, and I'm thinking, well, that snow, brother. Because you have snow in Mississippi? Not really, huh?
Well, they do now. We
Oh, they
actually,
do
when I
that.
was
Oh, back
growing
in the
up, we actually did have snow. We had enough snow to make snowmen a couple of times when I was a child. So
oh
the
wow,
snow actually does dip down
I
into that
never knew that
area.
because you think of South Mississippi. There's no snow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It used to
so
shut
so
things
you're
down.
okay. You're okay on the East Coast. It's not. I'm at.
I'm sure.
Okay, all right, all
I
right.
mean, I got indoctrinated into the snow when I was in New Jersey as a postdoc, and we had I don't know what 17 or some 17 to 19 snow events that particular year, and the snow was piled so high on the side of the road that you would just drive through walls of snow. The end
Right.
loaders packed it higher and higher, and I think we finally saw the ground in June after when it all finally melted.
That's how
Yeah,
it was in New
so we
York.
got what 28 inches of snow in one blizzard event, and the drifts had it up to 40 some inches out there in the hills in the suburbs where I live. So yeah, I got used to it back
You
then.
got used to okay. Because when
Yes.
I went to New York to do Showtime at the Apollo, it's the same thing. Snow was high. Like you drive down the street, snow's
Hmm.
piled up on the side of the road. And
But
that
you
was
just
back in
keep
the
going. I mean, it's
yeah,
just frozen precipitation. Good
that's
grief.
true. It's nothing. But you know what? That cold bites though. The cold bites. But you got to get used to it. And like as long as you have the right gear, you okay.
Well,
But you know, you
that drought in California bites too.
that's true. Did
We have
it depends on if you're
precipitation.
thirsty or not. Nah.
We have real precipitation. So, I mean, so we have some California, West Coast type stuff. We have uh, the Midwest type activity, and we have the East Coast corridor activity. So we can have it all. I mean, today is Thursday. We had snow just this past Saturday,
Yeah. And
and then it got
then
up
you
to
have
the 70s
yep.
yesterday.
Nice weather. It went from cold
Diversity, diversity of weather.
diversity. That's the key word, everyone. Diversity. So you don't just preach it, you live it.
Yes.
You live in a diverse area. Diversity. We don't have the diversity in Southern California.
Oh,
It's
this is
not the same. You know, it's we get a little rain here and there, but that's about it.
yeah. We
You
have
you
periods of time we don't have to wash cars.
right.
Don't we don't have to water our grass. So
Yeah,
for
we have to
weeks at
water
a
our grass.
time. Right.
That's why LA, a lot of people have that fake grass when you drive by.
Oh no
They look like it
no.
look like a football
Mm-mm,
field.
mm-mm.
Got the turf. Yeah,
Well, gosh, you might as well put the fake flowers out there then.
that's true. I saw fake animals. I saw somebody with a fake buffalo in the front of the yard. I'm like, a buffalo?
We'll talk about that later. Somebody's looking for that fake buffalo.
Oh yeah, you know the
So
buffalo.
they'll
That's
be
bad
hitting you up.
news.
Hey, what was the address? What was
Right.
the address?
Hey, have you seen a buffalo? Nah, man, I ain't seen no buffalo. Who walks around looking for a buffalo?
Oh gosh. All right, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I knew we was gonna go there. I knew we was gonna go there. Now I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
The other question is, if you were not a professor in chemistry, head department, Superman, genius, Excalibur,
Mm.
what would your profession, second profession be, or other profession?
Medical doctor.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yes, I like that. I like that. Because I was a biology, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors, medicine is, you have to, it's amazing field. So what you're doing is really it's close to medicine. Same thing. It's
Well,
along those lines.
I get the opportunity to teach students that want
Yes.
to go to medical school.
Yes. Yes.
and write those recommendation letters for those outstanding candidates that that will be applying to medical school, dental school, pharmacy school, optometry school, even those that then take their chemistry degrees and look at coupling that with law school.
And
So,
you've been
well,
invited to a lot of people's graduations and
yes, I have.
indoctrinations and everything.
Right, so the white coat ceremonies at the medical schools, so I've been invited to those. I've been invited to their PhD graduations as well. So the students reach back, they do appreciate. And for those that are afraid of going into the sciences and feel like, well, if I go there, I'm so isolated, no one will remember me. You will be remembered because, as I tell the new faculty in my department and in the College of Science and whatever groups I'm speaking to, and I tell the graduate teaching assistants, we as people on stage, and I'm talking about all of us now,
Mhm.
through what we say and do, we have a unique opportunity to speak life or death into that young person's situation and their future.
That's right.
So be careful what you say because you don't know if that's a future president or chief of staff at some hospital that you are addressing. Because
Right.
we have all been in situations, especially those of us that are chemistry and biology professors, we've had opportunities to be in a dentist chair and then someone walks in and you're laid out like this, laid back, and it's like, oh, I was in your class a few years ago. And if you were bad to them, you're like, oh crap,
Right.
can I get somebody else? Right?
Right. That's so true. That's so
or
true.
or then you're like, wait a minute, how did they perform in that class? Did they understand those calculations with kinetics? And that's why
Right.
I tell them you have to do your darndest always because you are helping shape the future and you want them to be as prepared as possible so that if you encounter them later, they are the best trained in all aspects, right? We don't want ill prepared people in charge of our health,
Right.
our wealth, or
Yes.
anything else.
Nothing.
So
But you
speak
want them to
life,
be stealth.
choose life, speak life. Be like
Be
Dean.
stealth. Be
Be
gone.
like
Right.
Dean. Speak life, give them a smile, give them something to laugh about.
Yes.
Take
Yes.
something serious, put a spin on it, make them
Yes.
laugh about it because
And
something and that removes a whole lot of the stress out of our lives. I mean, look at me. I don't look 97.
no, you don't. You don't look 90, you don't look a day over 95. I don't look like a day over 88 or
Wait a minute.
106.
We're not
106.
hey,
I'm
our
106.
ages aren't that different
I'm
now.
106. My age changed when I'm on the podcast.
Yeah, just because you shave your head and shave your face today, don't try to play it off now. I know your real age. I can say it.
Now, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to bring you on because people think that anybody that's working in the chemistry profession or professor is so serious that they can't smile, that they can't laugh,
Oh no, 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 no,
that
no,
they're
no,
rigid,
no.
that I'm all about business and I'm going to talk like this and we're going to have this conversation and we're going to let everybody know we're about handling business. And
Mhm.
I knew that you would come the way you are because of who you are. And I know you, and I cannot keep a straight face with you anyway in person. So I knew that it would be fun
Oh
and
yeah.
educational and it would flow the way it's supposed to flow.
Well,
I
I mean, the thing about it, I've told you this, like I tell my students. I teach a 7:30 a.m. lecture Tuesday and Thursday morning, and those students are there, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and they are alert, they are ready. But I tell them, one, science is not boring. Chemistry certainly is not boring. But when it comes to a lecture, when it comes to engagement,
Mhm.
then I don't want to be bored. I don't want you to be bored. And this hour and 15 minutes that you're in here, I certainly don't want to be bored. So we're going to laugh. I'm going to laugh with you as you laugh at me and with me.
Right,
Right.
right.
So, uh, because that's just the way it is and time goes a lot faster that way and that and at the end of class students are still there and I'm looking, well, we need to wrap this up. I was like, you guys have a class at 9. Oh, right, we have to go to our next class. I don't think it should be a boring topic, and there are quite a few chemistry professors, chemists, scientists, period. We're not boring people. If I look back
Right.
over my life, good God almighty, do chemists enjoy life outside of being professors? Yes, we do. We
That's
are
beautiful.
human beings. We know what golf courses are. I've used to spend a lot of time going to track meets. But as an undergrad at Jackson State, and I tell people this, and this is true. I used to spend my fall semesters preparing for final exams at the indoor track meets. I had my calculus book here. I had friends. I was like, okay, which race is this?
Nice.
Race is over. All right, go back to studying. Wait for the next race. Oh, ready. Okay, watch the race. Go back to studying.
Right,
And
right.
then when I was living in the Bay Area, there were chemists and physicists and engineers, and there used to be a place called Bobby McGee's.
Yes,
That's
yes. I remember Bob
way
McGee.
back in the day, right? So we went to Bobby McGee's. We enjoyed our lives. We lived lives just like everyone else. We went to concerts. So
Nice.
anything, I used to go to the Oakland A's games all the time. Used to hang out. I used to always be at those games. So we're human. We're not perfect, and we're just here trying to carve out our bits and pieces of lives and
Right.
have as much happiness as possible. We're
And
not
and and
comedians. We just laugh at ourselves.
right. And the great thing about it is that you coming on here and expressing that and letting people know, they realize that you can actually learn and study and still have fun.
Oh
And
yes.
you can still enjoy yourself,
Hmm.
because I
Because
I believe that people do I believe that people do learn when they're having fun too.
yes, definitely.
You know, you don't have to be all serious and stressed out to learn.
Hmm.
And
You
that's
don't.
the
You
beautiful
really
thing
don't.
about it. And I know you bring it to your class. And I remember going to your class, coming to the East Coast many years ago and watching from the back. And I'm laughing because they're enjoying themselves. And I'm like,
Yes,
this is so cool. But I
and,
know.
and you can sneak. And this is the funny thing about that. When students are not stressed out, when that lecture's going on, you can sneak more information into their brains. The brains are primed to receive and they will retain it. But if you're just stressing them out all the time, then they're just going to crack under pressure. Yes, the depth and rigor, I keep that there, but I create an environment whereby they can enjoy that learning and they feed off each other and they help each other. And there's a calculation I have the students do when we look at kinetics, first order kinetics. And basically, the problem states calculate the length of time required for a student to forget 70% of the material that they learned in preparation for exam number one. Take into consideration it's a first order process, and they do not refer to. I think it's the one where they do 70% or maybe 90. But when they realize, based on the math, if you really learn that material, I have to go back and check the problem now. It takes
Wow.
you 232 days to forget information you actually learn if you learn it under the right conditions. So
Woo.
then you can help people that come in the next semester and the next semester,
Mm,
right? Because then
mhm.
you're able to help the next generation because you were
Right.
laughing and learning.
Right.
You receive that information. And I do want to say this, and not to, tell
No,
people,
speak on.
you know, preachers and teachers and comedians have something in common. We never met a mic that we didn't like. And I mean
Oh,
a
I got
microphone.
it. And I want to say this because that's so true. But for Miss Maratnich, my history teacher back in high school, you messed up because you were not fun and no one laughed. Well, I got in trouble in that class because I made everybody laugh, and that was my first, I guess, introduction to being a comedian because I never thought I comedy found me.
Mm,
I was going to be a doctor. I was a biology major,
mhm,
but I remember in class I made everybody in the class laugh, and she hated me for that. She hated
mhm,
me, and it was something small, but it
mhm.
was a joke about her, and I
Oh,
did it.
whoa.
But
Okay.
it was under my breath. It wasn't like I was like trying to be rude. And
Mhm.
then she pointed me out because I played football. So and she said, I don't like athletes and I don't like smart
Ooh,
pants. And
bias.
yeah, she was bad.
Mm.
She started marking me off for small things. Like
She was bad and
if I
biased
didn't
back in
spell
the
my
day.
name right, she give me
Right.
there's a mark for that because your D don't look right. I'm like, my D and my name, yes. I'm like, that's pretty bad. So you can have fun and you can and that's why I like the fact that you came on here to show that You can have fun and relax and still be a professional at a profession where people think it's too serious, or where people think it's too hard, or there's no fun and there's no joy in it. Come on. So
Mm,
that's why I'm happy you were able to come on and be, and of course I knew you'd be you, but I wanted you to educate, and bring them together
yeah.
like the
Well,
preacher.
I do what I can when I can. That's what I'm here for. But I do one thing I do want to a couple of things I do want to say. Uh, for those that are thinking, well, how do I get to that particular point? He's already said, don't be afraid. But how do I finance this? Right? Because that's always a huge challenge and that puts a lot of fear in people. There are
Right.
so many scholarships out there for students that are pursuing STEM, and so many of those scholarships don't even get enough applications on an annual
Mm,
basis because
mm.
what people do is sit around and they speculate and guesstimate in every
Right.
kind of eight you want to think
Right.
of,
Right.
right? And then you have fraternities and sororities and national science STEM related organizations trying to give money away. But people are like, well, I'm not as qualified as this person. But you never know how many people did or did not apply. So go ahead and apply.
Right.
Do not think that your socioeconomics will dictate where you go. Transparent moment here.
Right.
Do not think that because you come from a single parent home, you cannot get to where I am today. I
Right.
grew up
Right.
in a very small town in Mississippi. Small town, didn't even have a traffic light. So I use yes, no traffic
No
light to
traffic
be
light.
where I am today. Yes,
people
yes.
just people just crashing, running into each other.
Crashing. You didn't have that many people
Oh yeah,
driving.
oh you go. See, very
Horse and
polite.
buggy.
You go. You
They
go.
gave horse and buggy a new definition. So, so that's where I grew up in single parent home. So when I graduated from high school, my father had already died. So my mother had to figure out ways to shoulder things and keep us afloat and keep us on track. So I have lived the life that a lot of you are living, or you think you can't
Right.
get ahead or reach a
Right.
certain point because, well, I don't have both parents in the home. Hey, there are a whole lot of people with both parents in the home, which one of them would disappear. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
simply because both are
Very
there, that
true.
doesn't mean it's a positive and productive environment.
Right.
Uh, so I understand what it's like to not have the resources. And what I do now, and hopefully you will do as well once you reach my age or a position greater or equal to what I have, is reach back and provide opportunities for others. Because as I tell the young faculty, I tell the graduate students and those that are currently pursuing degrees, it is no longer about you. It's about the next generation. You're here to learn as much as you can
And then
about
give
a
it back.
lot of things, not
Mhm.
just science. I didn't understand why I needed to take psychology and sociology, but I
Right.
understand it now. I took
Mm.
music appreciation. I passed the classes, but it's like, why do I need these classes? But it was for greater good. So when young people, when you go in those classrooms, I know Dean is looking at the clock. Time is got to wrap this up, brother.
No, no, no. Go right.
Okay,
I love it. Go ahead,
what
brother.
what I tell them is like, for that time, that snapshot in time when you go in each one of your classes, if it's a math class, you are a mathematician for that 55 minutes or that hour and 15 minutes. When you go to that psychology class, you are a psychologist in training for that time frame. So when you have those or make those paradigm shifts yourself in real time, it will help you redirect your energy and your approach to that class, because you
Right.
have to keep in mind, especially in college, the person teaching that class has dedicated their life to that particular profession, that speciality. So you need to find something as exciting about that particular subject matter every time you go in that classroom, and you will see a C grade, or let's start about, you will see a D grade change into a B. You can see a C grade actually move all the way up that ladder to an A. And you're like, well, how in the world did I do this? And then you'll go back later and say, hey, what they
Wow.
said is real. Three kind of people, and you decide which one you want to be:
Right.
those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and then those that wonder what the hell happened.
Right. You want to be the first one. Make
Right.
things happen.
Make it happen.
Don't be the latter. Don't be
Right.
the latter.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda. Too late.
Don't be the latter. Always make things happen.
Oh,
Man, this is such a pleasure. I'm so happy that you came on and graced the mic and screen with your presence.
well, thank you very much.
And I want to once again let everyone know that Dr. Gerald Weatherspoon is at George Mason University.
Yes.
So all you students, all you undergrads, all you anybody that want to come by, just look for that brother right there because you'll learn something.
I'm old. I won't be there
And
forever
you'll
now.
laugh. You know, look. If he's not there, I know somebody be there that know him because he's the man. I just want you to know that. So please, whatever you do, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening.
Yes, you too.
And the rest of this summer's coming, so the cold's about to go. So don't worry about the cold, brother. It's gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone.
It's just gonna be hot and muggy, hot and muggy. Hey, but that's chemistry.
Hey,
that's chemistry.
That's chemistry.
Atmospheric chemistry.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. I thank everyone for tuning in to this MuddaCluckin podcast.